Okay, problem 2 here. We have problem 2 from chapter 1, and this time this is very similar to what you're, again, going to see on the homework. So, try and get some of this done here in a way that we can. So basically we're answering questions here and using the information above. So if you'll remember, or from your text or from class, our accounting equation is assets are equal to liabilities plus equity. And if you remember, we can always rewrite this. Okay, we could subtract liabilities from both sides and we get equity is equal to assets minus liability. We could subtract equity from both sides and we get liabilities are equal to assets minus equity. Okay, and we're going to need these for this, so we'll look at what we're doing here and hopefully get all this in a good way. So the first thing, question 1A says, what is the amount of equity on December 31st, 2018? Well, we've got assets and liabilities listed up here. So basically, this is an easy one. If we want to know the equity is equal to assets minus liability. We have that over here. So equity, we don't know what that is. We'll say X is equal to assets minus liabilities. Well, we have 55,000. Minus 24,500, extra 0, which means we're looking at equity on December 31st, 2018 of what is that, 30,500? Okay. Now, the second part, B, says, what is the amount of equity on December 31st, 2019? If we look, well, we don't have our liabilities here, so we've got to figure out what do we do. And in these cases, I'm going to put something here on the side if I can fit it in. But essentially, we can look at beginning equity. We can add in the stock that we've issued and add or subtract net income, and then subtract dividends will give us ending equity. And why this is important is because the ending equity of one period is the beginning equity of another period. So if we look at this for B, what we can do is we can use what we have over here to figure this out. Well, we know the equity at December 31st, 2018 at the end of the year is 30,500. That would be our beginning equity for 2019. So if we look at this, basically, we can follow this formula over here, and we can have our beginning equity of 30,500, and we'll just follow what we have over here. We add in our stock issuance, which is 6,000, so we'll have plus 6,000. We add in our net income of 8,500, and we subtract our dividends of minus 3,500. And if we perform, let's see, 30,500 plus, let's see, 6,000, 36,500, 37,45, minus 35 is 41,500. Now this is our equity on December 31st, 2019. So we know that now. Now they're going to say, what are the liabilities on December 31st, 2019? Well, if we want to know liabilities, remember liabilities are equal to assets minus equity. So liabilities are equal to, we know our assets here are 58,000. So 58,000. And then we look at our equity. Well, we don't know what our equity is. It's not given, but we've calculated it here. So minus 41,500. Means we have liabilities on December 31st, 2019 of $16,500. Okay? And they give you a little thing here you can check. It's not precious of them. All right, number 2. Answer the following questions about Company B. Company B's second column here. What is the amount of equity on December 31st, 2018? Okay, so this should be an easy one for us. We already know our equity is equal to assets minus liabilities. So equity equals assets minus liabilities, which in this case we have our assets, we have our liabilities. So basically our equity is equal to 34,000 minus 21,500 So we're looking at equity here of 12,500. Now the amount of equity for the next year, December 31st, well, they give us assets and liabilities as well. So this is an easy one to figure too. We're looking at basically 40,000 minus 26,500, which means we're looking at what, 13,500 here, I think. Yep. Okay. So we got part one, we got part two. Now we're asking net income for the year. We remember net income's over here. We can use this equation again to calculate this, right? So we have our beginning equity, which we know is 12,500. We calculated that here. So we can have our, oops, don't want to erase it. Get back here. So we have our 12,500 of our beginning equity plus stock issued. Well, we know that's 1,400 plus net income, but we don't know that. So we'll give that an X, or we could just say an I for net income, whatever. Minus our dividends of 2,000. Okay, equals our ending equity. Well, we know that's 13,500. Okay. So if we look at this from an algebraic standpoint, and we go through 12,500 plus 1,400 is 13,900 minus 2,000 means we would be looking at X minus, let's see, 13,900 minus 2, 11,900 equals 13,500. And if we algebraically do this this should be X plus 11,900, not minus. If we subtract 11,900 from both sides, we'll get X is equal to 1,600. That is our net income for the year. Number 3 says compute the amount of assets for company C on December 31st, 2019. Okay. Well, we don't have it, but we can figure it. We can use what we've got over here with our equity things to calculate this. So first we got to look and say, okay, company C. The first thing we want to do is look at what do we have here? What's our beginning balance for 2019 for our equity? And we can see that if we look at this, our assets and liabilities for 2018 were 24,900. So our equity at the beginning of 2019 would be the ending equity for 2018, which would be our 24,000 minus our 900. So we would have 15,000 beginning equity for 2019. Okay. Now we know that, and again we got that by taking our equity for 2018. That ending equity there becomes the beginning equity for 2019. So we know that's 15,000. And let's see, how do I want to do this? Page 34 is going to be in the way. Let me do this over on this side if I can. So we have our beginning equity of, what is it, 15,000. Okay. Now over here we know, again, we know our stock issuances. We can add plus, oops, 9750. We can add our net income of 8,000 plus 8,000. And we subtract our dividends, which are given at 5875. And if we do all this, we'll see our equity in 2019. Let's see, 1590. Oh, let's see. 17,750, 32,750 minus 6,000, 32,700, 26,750 plus 125, 26,875. Okay. They're asking us to find assets. Well, we know our equity now. So remember, assets are equal to liabilities plus equity, right? So assets we don't know, but we can say assets are equal to, we know our liabilities are 29,000. We know our equity is 26,875. We just calculated it. So for assets here, we would look at 55. Let's see, add these up. 50, 55, 55, 875. Number 4, the amount of stock issuances for company D. All right, where are we at? Company D. All right, so we got to do our equities again. We know And this, 2019, we got to do our equity. So we know in 2018, the ending equity was $20,000. That would be the beginning equity for 2019. We know that because our assets here minus our liabilities gives us our equity. So we know our beginning equity is 20,000. All right. So beginning equity is 20,000. We don't know stock. That's what we got to figure, but we got to add that. So we're going to give that a variable like we do in algebra. We're going to give that an X. That's our stock issuance. Plus our net income of 14,000. We don't have any dividends, so we don't have to subtract anything there. And this will equal our ending equity. Okay. Well, we know our ending equity, assets minus liabilities for this company, 85,000 minus 24,000 is 61,000. So here's our equation for this one. 20,000 plus X plus 14,000 equals 61. If we combine terms here, we get 34,000 plus X equals 61. So we draw the way over. 34,000 plus X equals 61,000. Now if we just subtract 34,000 from each side, X is 27,000. That is the amount of stock issuance we had for the year. And the last one here that we've got, part number 5, is compute the amount of liabilities for Company E on December 31st, 2018. All right. So Company E, we don't have the liability. That's what we got to figure out. We can determine our ending equity for 2009, or ending equity for 2018, which would be again the beginning equity for 2019. So if we look at that, we have here the end of 2019. Looking at this, and I'm going to move a little bit here if I can. Move this up so we have just a little more room down here, because I'll try and do this across the bottom. All right. So the ending equity we have in 2019. Let's look at this. We would have what, 43,000. We'd have 113. Ending 2019 is 113 minus 70,000, which is 43,000. Okay. Now, how do we find a beginning balance? Well, we don't know the beginning balance of equity for 2019 because we don't have liabilities for 2018. So we don't know that, but we can still, again, use this equation, and we can put a variable in for that beginning equity because we don't know what it is. So we can have X plus, and remember, we're adding in our items here, plus our stock issuance of 6,500, plus our net income of 20,000, minus our cash dividends of 11,000, gives us, basically, this is going to be our, we'll get our ending equity here, which, let's see, that was the 43,000. Okay, so we don't know beginning, but we know ending. So if we add everything up, combine like terms, 6,500 and 20,000, 26,500, minus 11,000 is what, 15,500? So basically what we're going to say here is X plus 15,500 equals 43,000. So if we subtract 15,500 from both sides, X is equal to, what is this, 27,500? 27,500 is our beginning balance of equity. Okay. Remember, that's what we're figuring here. This was beginning equity, because this equation is this equation. All right. So we know 27,500 is our beginning equity. That would have been our ending equity for 2018. So for 2018, liabilities, we know, are equal to assets plus equity. So our liabilities we don't know, but they are equal to our assets of 119,000. Actually, that's a minus. Why did I put a plus there? Let me fix that. Liabilities, your assets minus equity. Get your brain in gear before your pen moves. So liabilities are equal to our assets of 119 minus our liabilities of 27,500. So for this last one, when we look at this, our liabilities are 91,000. 500, if I did my math right. 99, yeah. So hopefully this helps with you seeing how we calculate these things. And as I said, we're looking at using that equation there for beginning equity plus our stock issuance plus or minus net income minus dividends gives us our ending equity. So hopefully this helps you out. If any questions, call, text, email. Other than that, I will talk to you next week. Have a good one.